Today I'm here to talk about hands and drawing them. So hands are sometimes one of the hardest things to draw because they are complex at the end of the day. Lots of tendons, nerves and diddly bits. So I love drawing them, even if it's simply putting my hand on a piece of paper and going round my fingers, my very slightly warped fingers, and creating a hand shape, and then being cheeky and sticking on some nails. It's fun, but sometimes you want to draw more than an outline. You want to get more detail in there and to showcase what a hand is. Now you can go so far looking in books, and you can go so far with wooden models and all of the other things that you can buy to help you draw hands. But the best thing to draw is your own. Your hand is unique to you and it's special, honestly. And that's the thing. You can create individual art with your own hands. Now, hands curve, they flex. Mine's slightly twisted because I've got arthritis problems. So that means that I've got extra distortion. And the thing is, you've got lots of motion in your hands. You can split your fingers, you can move them that way, you can move them that way. You can do shadow puppets if you're really in the mood. There's loads you can do with your hands, and loads of poses and possible poses. Double jointed people? Woohoo! Love it, scares me. So how would I approach drawing my hands? First thing I would do is have a think about what makes a hand. So I'm going to come back to my little very rough hand sketch here. So we know that we got knuckles and we got finger bones, and those finger bones all join up. Mine probably don't, not my luck. And you've got a thumb. The thumb's a weird one because you've got less dexterity in joints in it, and it takes up a lot more room. Some animals have got different thumbs. They have more of a thumb on the little finger and grip like that. And some animals have got stubs, so they don't have this piece. It's well worth having a little looky and seeing what makes a hand unique. Then in the middle of your hand, you've got a nice little block of bones. This is a terrible, terrible design because I can't think where my bones are in my hand. But you've got a little block of bones in the middle. Nubbies on the top. And then of course all this joins down to your wrist bones, or your radius and your ulna. So you've got different shapes in your hand. You can break your hand down and do it as a kind of a stumpy triangle, and then do sticks coming off of it, or triangles. It represents a hand in a rough way. You can do it as a circle and do circular joints coming off of it. But it's forming those basic shapes of that block and the pieces coming off of it. Phalanx. I can't pronounce it. So for me, if I'm drawing my hand, the main things I'll concentrate on where my darks are and where my lights are. And simply by blocking those in, you can create a hand. So I'm just going to rest my hand like so. So this is going to be a very rough sketch. So first off, I'm just blocking in where I can see bits. This will completely change as I go along. And I can see I've got a big dark patch there. And this bit's dark. This bit's light. darks here, joint there, joint there, lovely bit there, shadow here, dark bit here, dark bit there. And for me, I've got a bit of a right angle here, shadow there, lumpy bit here where the knuckle is, knuckle, knuckle, and I've got a vein coming across there. I've got a weird little spot where I took a chunk out my finger, well, out of the knuckle. I've got a vein here, and I've got a little curve there. And this piece just comes at a funny little angle. There you go, all I've done is literally just blocked in a couple of those lights and a couple of those darks, and I've got a very rough hand sketch. And that was, you saw how quick that was. Not bogging down in details, just literally, where are my lights? Here. Where's my darks? Here. And that's given me enough form. So that's a way that you can approach it. And sometimes when you're doing a very dark image, that can be quite useful. So in this case, I'm going to try and move this so you can see what I'm doing. I do have very small hands for me, about the size of a 9-year-old. So again, I'm just going to take my rough shapes, fingers and thumbs do have strange curves, so if it doesn't look natural, don't panic about the detail. Just simply block in the darks and the lights. In this case I've shot slightly, but that's alright. And your joins don't always look like very clear, so all I'm seeing is a smooth shape almost. I'm not seeing like massive knuckle joints or anything like that or fingers. So it almost looks like it's straight, but it's not. Almost there, where my thumb is. Sorry about my voice. Seem to have caught something. So I can literally just now block in my darkest areas, which is just here, here, around here, this joint. And I've got a little bit of shadow up here. And I've got a mid-tone of shadow just along here. I can lighten that out. I've got a mid-tone here, a dark tone here, dark, a bit of a mid, where you've got the cast shadow of the finger, so this finger casts onto that one. Also, remember to do your ground shadow, because this will help show the structure as well. I know this isn't a brilliant sketch. I've got mid shape there. But it's just to give you an idea of how you can actually look at it. So there you go. So another very, very rough, just clenched fist. And all I'm literally looking at is where my darkest darks are, where my mid-tones are, and where my lights are. That's literally all I look for. So once you feel comfortable with just literally picking out those bits, it makes it a lot easier. So I can show you, I do one up there. So different medium, you get different effects. Colour pencil, you will get a completely different effect to graphite. Pens, watercolours, sometimes the blockier things are really, really good. So for example, I'm just going to do the inside of my hand. So without having to worry about too much detail, this is the wrong paper, I'm literally just going to block in that shape. And there you go. It's that simple. That's an extremely basic hand. Doesn't look quite like one, but it's got all the shapes. It's got a block in for the middle of your hand here. You've got each of the fingers and the thumb. And if you want to go in and tidy it up, then you can, by just adding in those little bits of detail. Now some people have more webbing between their fingers. I've got a not too bad amount. Other people don't. Not all fingers line up, so for me, I don't think any of mine line up. Some people do have fingers that line up more, so the joints will actually be more level. And that's why when you draw hands, don't copy it from a book. Do your own hands, because like I say, it just makes such a difference, because you're showing life in the drawing. I'm just going like that. Nothing there. And if you want to go into more detail with the curves, you can always do that. See? At the end of the day, it's still hand. And different medium, as I say, will give you different effects. Colour pencil. See if I can do something a bit different. If you're doing GCSEs and degrees and things like that in art, you probably will get asked to do a whole page of hands and a whole page of feet. So doing a bit of practice and getting comfortable drawing hands and feet is always good. Though for most courses, from what I've learnt, is it doesn't matter if your drawing is terrible. It doesn't matter if your drawing is amazing. What it is showing the process of doing the drawings. So if you do a page of skeletal hands, if you do a page of block hands where you're literally just blocking in light and shadow, if you do one of wiggly hands, watercolours, paint markers, do a page of each kind of pose and mix it up a bit, then that shows that you're understanding what the hands come across as, and you also find that it helps you improve your drawing skills. Then if you want to do darker colour, let's see, I did have some darker colours around here. And it doesn't hurt to do an underdrawing, so kind of map out where bits are. If you put your hands into different poses, just be aware that it can get a little bit sore after a while, so it doesn't hurt to work from photos, but if you can work natural, it's always good. Because you'll feel, I mean right now I can feel this going up my arm because I'm putting my bad finger under pressure. But it's by knowing what's working in your hand, it helps you understand what's going on in there, and you can convey that in the drawing. And drawing hands is a great exercise if you just want to chill and relax. It's good fun. Problem is I could do it all day. There we go, just release my hand. So little drawings, big drawings, just have fun with it. Hands are handy to learn to draw. As I say, models will only take you so far. Pictures will only take you so far. Your own hand will take you further. And as I say, try doing outlines of your hands in different poses. So see what happens when you put all your fingers together. What shape do you get when you do that against when you've got your hands open, when you've got them split? How does it happen? What happens when you curve your fingers if you stick one up? There are tons of possibilities. Can you draw your right hand with your left hand? Can you draw your left hand with your right hand? Try drawing your hands with the opposite hand, because that will look terrible to start with, but it shows how you work differently. If I grab another piece of paper, I've run out of tape. I'm always running out of something around here. Right. So let me see if I can. Right. Let's try and do a little bit more serious drawing. So this is an ergonomic pencil graphite holder. This is the chunky stuff. So this is more of a draftsman pencil, but you'll get the gist. But whatever mediums you got, use them and enjoy them. Actually, I just seen something. Right, I'm going to do two. I'm going to cheat a bit now. Right, I'm going to draw with my left hand, which is not my functioning proper hand. I'm going to draw my right hand and show you what can happen. So, I'm going to use, let's go half. So, I'm going to use short motions. I'm looking for straight lines and shapes I can relate to. So my fingers bobbly shapes. And the nice thing with charcoal is it's very forgiving and you can smudge out all your errors. It's a messy medium, but it's a very good medium. And then this pesky little finger comes up, over and round. And this piece comes round here. It doesn't matter when you're drawing hands, when you're practicing, when you're learning. If you make mistakes, that's part of learning, that's part of drawing. And I've made a big mistake here, haven't I? For my angle's changed. Right, that's fair enough. Right, that bit here. There we go, that's better. See, I made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. Just keep on going. So colour this in, or to make this more, make it more make sense. Me no English today. I'm literally just blocking in my darks. Work out my mids in a minute. From there. Got darks there, and I've got darks there. So it looks terrible, doesn't it? It looks absolutely terrible. So I'm going to start softening it. The reason why it looks weird is the effect of foreshortening. Don't be scared by foreshortening. Literally draw what you see. It might not make sense, but it comes together in the end. I've moved my hand. It's the only point of drawing hands is that you will move your hands. You see, I work slower when I'm working with my busted hand. This is pretty much because I'm having to think about every single movement. Unlike when drawing with my right hand, I'm more fluid because I've got muscle memory. My left doesn't have that. Terrible for moving my hands, but that, as rough as it is, that gives you an idea of an exercise to try drawing with the wrong hand, and use a medium that's really forgiving like charcoal, where you can take it, you can smudge it, you can make changes, you can emphasize bits, you can really, with charcoal you can go to town and not have too much worries. You can come back through, you can add in detail. Charcoal is a really forgiving medium. Definitely one I would recommend, especially if you're going to have a go at drawing with the wrong hand. So that is definitely worth doing. Now it looks terrible, yeah, but as long as those shadows are blocked in the right place, then the form is there. Now I know my shadows aren't perfect. But hopefully, there goes charcoal. Hopefully that gives you the gist of how that little exercise can help you. So to do a hand probably a bit more professionally, a bit more properly, I'll take a pose that I'm comfortable with, that my hand is comfortable with. So probably in my case, I think something like this. Got quite a strong light, quite strong shadows, and I'm going to drop my thumb for a bit. So I start simply by starting on this line, finding my little knuckle, do this piece, the other piece, tip of the finger. Now I know the finger behind it comes out further, so I can add that in. And I know it joins up a bit. And the angle going down my hand is going straight down. My third finger is coming from the same rough area, but it's coming further away. But it looks, because of the angle, it looks like it's the same length as the second finger, which it is not. Then my little finger, which partially faces the opposite direction. I'm literally just adding in my darks. Even though I've got a shadow being cast here, there's still some light areas where I've got light coming from this direction. I think this is a finger I had a hamster bite a chunk out of. Yeah, moral of the story, don't stick your fingers into a cage with a hamster bouncing up and down in it. It is not worth it. Drafting pencil doesn't actually allow me to do too many tonal layers. These aren't designed for tonal sketching. They're designed for just getting graphite down. But it's just a nice big pencil that I can show you how I'm approaching this. But everybody has a different way of drawing, so just because it says in a textbook follow the numbers doesn't mean you have to. It's worth following it and seeing why you're being asked to follow the numbers, but also try and experiment and find your own way of approaching a drawing. So hopefully you can see how it's all coming together. It does look a little bit mannequin-y, but that's mostly due to the shape of my hand. I think I've got a darker pencil around here somewhere. If you spot it, yell. Oh, gee, I've got a lot of pencils. foreshortening on the thumb can look really confusing, but as I say, draw. You see, if you're not sure what's going on when you see foreshortening, break it down into simpler shapes, and the more you break it down, the easier it'll become. So for me, I know I've got a straight piece coming up here that's in shadow, and that's literally what I'm going for, is I'm using the foreshortening and the shadow to add in the detail. I've got a podgy bit there, and I've got damage there, and stretchy marks here. If you do want to look inside a hand, have a look online for plastinization, and you can get some really amazing images of the nerves, just literally the nerves of a hand or the veins of a hand. If you get a chance to go to a cadaver museum, that sounds so morbid. Either way, it is well worth going. I've been to a cadaver museum myself. I went for an art trip. I got invited, and it was absolutely amazing. Walked out with a whole different lease on life. Really did take a lot away. I would have quite happily taken away quite a lot more, but I probably would have got in trouble. But even if you just spend 5 minutes a day sketching your hand or a group of hands, or doing mini drawings of hands, it will just help build up your confidence, make you feel more comfortable with what you're drawing, and it'll help when it comes down to it. When you just suddenly need to draw a hand, you're like, oh, what do I do? So if I grab, don't really want to use one of them. Oh gosh, what are you, HB? No, HF. It's like an alphabet over here. Saved by Cheap and Cheerful. Crawford and Black, cheap make, only cost me a couple of quid, but great little pencils. I know they don't go all the way up to 9B and such like my Faber-Castells, but they do the job. Right, so now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to define key areas of shadow. So I've used this one, this HB, to basically, yeah, that's a HB. I know, doesn't look like one. I'm going to use a really dark 5B, and I'm just going to push some of the really in-depth shadows. Whilst trying to keep my fingers in the right place. Now to add shadow in like this, I don't have to add a lot of pressure. So this is a good chance to practice holding your pencil slightly further out, and this will help with your pressure control. There shouldn't ever really be a time when you need to literally tear into the paper. The paper is your friend. Treat it nicely and it will do wonders for you. Treat it badly and you will not get very far. You'll notice I use a small circular motion. You don't have to. It's whatever you're most comfortable with. You don't have to draw freehand if you want to. While you're learning, I'd advise it only for when you're learning. Take a photo of your hand even, and put it on a light box and see what shapes you get. ideally try not to trace. Tracing will only take you so far again. You can only learn so much from it. Tracing will help with your muscle memory and getting into remembering form and where to put bits. But if you can do it straight from memory, it's a better skill and you will improve. Just because maybe you're not drawing at the level of your mate next door or on the next table doesn't mean that you're not drawing badly. It simply just means that you're learning. Basically, there are no masters because there's something new everybody can learn every single day. And that'll do. It looks weird, but I've used basic shapes and I'm hoping to do this quite quickly tonight. But this is roughly how you can approach doing hands. If you've got twisted hands like I have, it makes it more fun. If you haven't, go for it. So what I've done is I've drawn with my dominant hand, I've done a pencil sketch. With my less dominant hand, I've done a charcoal sketch. You present this to your teacher, they will like it, because at the end of the day you are showing different mediums and different approaches, and also different methodology. Give me that paper. Then what I've done is I've done little breakdown hands. Now if you want to do something like a breakdown hands, definitely try and do a skeletal if you can. Skeletals are great fun to do. They're also really practical. Try and do some silhouettes. So literally find your hand and just block in so literally take a black marker and do some silhouettes, because silhouette art is equally as important. That looks terrible. But yeah, use a black marker, try doing silhouettes. If you can do a whole page of silhouettes in different poses, even if some of them are going to look like random blobs, it's a really good one again. Do a breakdown, as I said, skeletals. They've got skeletals, silhouettes, you've got basic shapes. What makes a hand a hand? Even if you just did a block for the base and then little lines with little circles for the joins, it shows motion. So you do some of those. Try drawing your hand in different poses, from clenched to open, and all different types of media. Do a few sheets of these, and each day or every time you do it, you will notice an improvement. So I just want to give you some hints and tips about drawing hands. As I say, you can look in books. There are some very, very good anatomy books out there. You can go to cadaver museums. Just be really mature if you do go to one. You need to have a good mindset. You can find online photos of the internal workings of a hand, so the muscle structures and things like that. Try doing some muscles. All of these things will help you develop and draw and become stronger at drawing them. So I hope that's given you some ideas and giving you all some inspiration on how to draw hands. I haven't drawn hands for quite a while, hence mine are pretty rusty, but it is fun, And it's you can actually do it as mindless sketching if you really want to just do some mindless sketching, chill out, enjoy. But as I say, don't get hung up on if it's perfect or not. Do some low detail sketches, do some high detail sketches, get a mix in there, pick out key areas, block out the lights, block out the shades. So with this first one I did, where I blocked in, just literally blocking in those key areas. Blocky drawings showing that you understand your tonal values. Yep, that will be a big help. So if you understand where your tonal values are, the rest falls into place. And even if you just do it as blocks, it's still forming the shape of the hand. Right, I better stop playing before I end up spending the whole evening drawing hands instead of doing what I meant to. So on that note, all the best, keep being awesome, and I hope to see you on the next video. So till then, toodle pip.